Hi everybody, it's Andy from James Navy Estate Agents. Today I am joined by Adam Sheppard. Now Adam was a local lad. He grew up in Walton on Thames, and by day he works in e-commerce. But more excitingly, and what we're going to have chats about today, is Adam's sporting career. So Adam, do you want to tell everyone what you do when you're not doing e-commerce?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Adam Sheppard. I race Speedway motorcycle racing, which for those of you who don't know about that, it's a sport with 500cc motorcycles with no brakes, no gears, and designed to turn left around an oval shale-based dirt track. So differently to motocross, it has no jumps, it's just flat, and you're meant to go around without turning the throttle off and go as fast as you can. And then normally around 60-second races, 4 riders, made up of 7 riders per team, and you face teams in a league or cup format, and there's 3 different professional leagues in the UK.
I mean, racing a bike with no brakes just sounds exciting, but be a bit mad. So how did you get into it, Adam? How did it all start?
So my parents, both big motorsport fans. My mum sort of likes the road racing, and my dad, he's always been into Speedway with his family. He came from London, and to be honest, back when he was young in the 60s, even 70s and 80s, there was an ample amount of London-based tracks, Wimbledon, White City, even West Ham. So he spent a lot of time travelling around the UK watching, the Speedway racing. And to be honest, Speedway, it just seemed a little bit more accessible than road racing. And obviously the costs with road racing can be quite high, but you're not saying that they're not high with Speedway. It's just, that's the path I chose to go down. And to be honest, I've always wanted to race or, go fast as such.
Awesome, cool. So tell us about your career. Where have you kind of been, and where are you up to with your Speedway career?
So this season I'm meant to be with the Swindon Sprockets in the newly formed 4th division of British Speedway. Unfortunately, with how things are with the current climate, it's yet to take off. But prior to that, I was with Plymouth Gladiators last season in the National League. That was prior to me getting injured, unfortunately, between 2016 and 2018. Multiple sort of reconstruction surgeries. Ankle. To Kings in 2015 in the National League as well, the professional leagues. And before that, I was working my way up through the developmental and junior leagues with various different clubs in the sort of southern parts of the UK.
Amazing, cool. And what's like the dream? What's the end kind of goal with Speedway? How far can you take it?
Depending on how good you are, and obviously the backing and support you get and opportunity, there's guys out there that obviously their living is Speedway. You can race internationally in Poland, which is probably the biggest league in the world. There's the World Championship Grand Prix as well, which race in all kind of arenas. For example, the Principality Stadium in Wales, that's the British Grand Prix. And the National Stadium in Warsaw in Poland, which also hosts the football, they convert that into to a stadium for a one-off day event. So realistically, that's how far you can go. A lot of people in the UK can sustain a career at the top international league in the UK, which sees various different riders from different continents around the world. So I guess that would be sort of the dream, to be able to get to that level where you can make not lots of money, but you can make a living and sustainable career from Speedway racing.
Awesome, sounds cool. We were talking before we press record about the kind of tougher side of the career, in the sense that you have to sort of financially support yourself. So tell us about that and your efforts to gain sponsorship and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
so with the sponsorship side of things, it's quite unique to Speedway. It's a lot of, if I compare it to like Formula One, MotoGP, Superbikes, that kind of road racing, which people may be more familiar with, you're part of a team who look after the equipment for you. They do a lot of the sponsorship as well. So you can bring your own sponsorship into those teams. But you're not responsible for looking after the equipment. So in essence, your focus is to race and to keep as fit as possible, and obviously, keep in touch with the media channels. with Speedway, it's quite unique in the sense that, you know, you have to look after your own equipment, whether that's paying for a mechanic to look after them in between meetings and at the race events. But you're also, you know, kind of representing the team. So as I say, I rode for Plymouth last year, so it's my responsibility to make sure my equipment's as you know, capable as possible. And that's obviously done through my own pocket, but also with the help of, you know, many of the sponsors that, you know, have supported me over the years, and without them I wouldn't have been able to come as far as I have.
Amazing. And I guess that's the onward challenge for you now, is that you've got to keep it sustainable, and you've got to keep getting funding and help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough balance, because there's a lot of lads there that either have strong backing from families, you know, if they have their own businesses, so they've got someone there that can be behind the scenes working on the bikes with them, or, you know, they're funding them as, you know, they're not working, they're just focusing on the racing because they've got enough support behind them. But for me, I obviously, you know, I work, as you mentioned, in e-commerce, so that's my professional career, and, you know, trying to sort of have that support for the sporting career side of things I've pushed as hard as I can. You know, it's great to have some backing from, you know, international brands like WD-40, and also local companies, you know, around the UK. So yeah, as I say, it's well needed, and, you know, it's always sometimes can hold people back, the lack of funding, because the guys you're up against are on such immaculate equipment because of their circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Adam, if there's kind of younger kids or anyone actually watching this who kind of thinks Speedway sounds exciting, or they'd like to give it a go, well, obviously I appreciate with COVID there may not be options at the moment, but where would we go generally to try and learn more about Speedway and get involved if people wanted to?
So depending on where you're located, if we're looking from a Surrey perspective, I think the local tracks are Swindon in Wiltshire, so a little bit further, obviously. Also Hoddesdon in Hertfordshire, just off the M25. And there's also clubs over in Kent, in Sittingbourne, all places where you can, you know, regularly practice. And further up the country, there's lots of places. But in terms of, you know, to watch the action, there's also Eastbourne down in Sussex, and a couple of other clubs like Poole in Dorset. So it's quite spread afield compared to, say, football. But there are a lot of good facilities around the UK, especially in the south.
Cool. Are there videos on YouTube and stuff that people could look up to watch? Is there stuff that's kind of out there for people to look at? And
yeah. So I think the Grand Prix normally are featured on BT Sport, and the top league in the UK is featured on Eurosport as of this year. But there are plenty of race meetings to watch on YouTube, or even just sort of top race heats that, you know, where they've seen lots of action. You can find them quite easily, and I've got a couple of races on my YouTube channel as well. The one that also finished my season off last year, where I broke my collarbone, unfortunately.
Injury seems to be a recurring theme.
Yes, it's one of those sports that, you know, you quite lucky if you make it out without a couple of injuries, breaks, but it's part and parcel. You sort of learn to accept it, and you just hope to get away with minimal injury. I guess it's a risk-filled sport, so you kind of accept it going in.
Cool. What's your YouTube channel, Adam?
So it's Adam Sheppard Racing. That's my YouTube channel.
Awesome. So that's somewhere that people can check you out and see the action.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages where you can also keep up to date with results as the season gets underway, and other activities and content on there.
Cool, brilliant. And if anyone watching wanted to get in touch with you and have a chat about sponsorship and that kind of stuff, and giving you a bit of support, how would they do that? What's the best way of them getting in touch?
So they can contact me, as I say, through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I've all got accessible messages there, or they can contact me on adamsheppardracing@hotmail.co.uk, which is my direct racing email as well.
Awesome, great stuff. And when are you? I don't know if anything's been announced as yet. When are you hoping to get back underway this year? And any ideas or?
So they've recently announced that they are allowing very limited number of practices at specific tracks around the UK based on government guidelines for sporting activities. So that includes like Scunthorpe, Leicester and Plymouth. That's going to be going, I think some have already taken place and some are planned, but because of the kind of lack of opportunities available, it's very difficult to be able to book into these sessions. So most likely for me, I'll be July till I get back out on track. and then just waiting for updates on the local authorities and governing bodies for motorsport in the UK as to when we're allowed to race again.
Fantastic, cool, awesome. Well, Adam, it's been really, really good chatting. I wish you the best of luck with your career, and I'll definitely be watching some of the stuff on YouTube with my kids because I'm sure they'll find it very exciting. And yeah, if there's anyone out there that feels they can help or support Adam, get in touch. It'd be a really nice thing to do.
Thanks very much for your time, Andy.
Cool. Catch you soon.
Cheers.